Hey, you beautiful people. My name is Scott Johnson, and I'd like to thank you for checking out today's video. And during this video, I'm going to be discussing intention. Now, you may ask, well, Scott, what is intention? Well, to be very simple and clear, intention is just the underlying reason or motive for doing something. So I'll give you an example. If I was hungry, I would go and get something to eat, and I'd go get food. Well, my intention there, the underlying intention, is to satiate a feeling of hunger that I have. Now, in order to examine our intention, in order to accurately do this, and I've said this to you guys many times before, we must become self-aware. We must become aware of our thinking and our thoughts. We must become aware of our speech. We must become aware of our action. Or in other words, we must become mindful. This is step one. And it should be step one in everything you do. Like literally. I cannot stress the importance of becoming mindful and self-aware enough. It is very, very vital that you do this. Okay? Without this, it is going to be very difficult to progress further. Okay? Now, if you have been taking my advice in the other videos, and if you've been working on becoming more self-aware, well, then you can start examining your intention. So I'm gonna tell a little story here. So, as some of you may know, two bikes were stolen from our house, and one of them was mine, one of them was roommates. And weeks passed after this, and I ended up finding my roommate's bike, getting it back. And then a few weeks after that, I ended up finding my bike on Facebook Marketplace. And now, when I found my bike, I I immediately was in this state of emotional distress, and I was feeling anxiety and worry, and I need to get my bike back, and that's my bike, and I'm gonna get it back because it's mine and it's not his. Okay, and now I knew that I was in a state of reaction, but I still acted in that state. Okay, so I messaged the guy and asked for proof of ownership, and he didn't respond. So then I go for a walk to go kind of clear my thoughts and to kind of calm down a little bit and to regain my center. And about 45 minutes later, I message him again and I asked for proof of ownership again, and now he responded and saying the bike was stolen. So after this, I was contemplating, okay, well, what's the lesson here? There's a lesson here because I live in Toronto, a population of I think 3 million people, and I found both bikes that were stolen from our house by chance. So I'm contemplating this and I'm thinking, and what I've come to the conclusion to was, okay, well, one lesson could be let go. I'm so attached to this material object, i.e. my bike, and it's causing me so much suffering because of my attachment to it. Another lesson would be to not act when you're in a state, when you're in when you're distressed or you're off your center, meaning you're not calm. If you're feeling angry or frustrated or worried, you shouldn't act in that state because you're not acting in that state. State is not skillful. You are not going to achieve a result that you desire, okay? Because you're acting out of pure emotion, right? Now, so that would be lesson number 2, is to make sure you are in a calm place, a centered place before acting on anything. And the third one, in which kind of leads me to the topic of this video, is intention. Now, let me ask you, what do you think my intention was when I first found my bike on Facebook Marketplace, and I felt this distress and these overwhelming emotions, and me wanting to get my bike back and it's mine, right? Was my intention coming from a place of pride and ego, or was it coming from a place of love? Well, it definitely wasn't coming from a place of love. Okay, it was coming from entirely from a place of pride and ego, and that's my bike and I want to get it back. So now, if I would have went there, okay, if I would have tried to get my bike back, I decided I was going to let it go, but if I tried to get my bike back and I went there with pride and ego, and it's my bike and mine, and I get there and, I say, oh, this is my bike, and I just try and take it back, right? Imagine that scenario and imagine the outcome of that versus going there and coming from a place of love And I'll give you an example of what that may or may not look like. So if I went there and I met the guy and I said, okay, I'll take the bike. What are you asking for it? And he gives me a price, and then I come back and say, well, okay, I don't think that's really fair because this is actually my bike, and it was stolen from my house, and now it's okay, it's fine. In fact, if you need the bike, you can have it, and I actually don't even really want the bike back. But I just want to let you know that what you're doing isn't right, and you're not acting skillfully. So imagine that scenario versus the other one, right? The guy probably would have ended up giving my bike back if I would have acted from this place of love and compassion versus going there with pride and ego. So it's very important that we are, number one, become self-aware, and number two, that we always examine our intention. And now this can get very subtle, but it's important that we always act from a place of love, okay? If we find that our intention is not coming from a place of love and compassion, you do not think, speak, or act from that place. You only act from a place of love, okay? It's very important. And also understand that what you put out is what you get back. And that subtle underlying intention of what you're putting out is what you are going to get back. You can call it karma, whatever you want, but that is what will happen. So it's very important that we become self-aware and we examine our intention in all things. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have an amazing day, and I love each and every one of you.